So good to have you join us today. Hello and welcome to Business Daily. I'm Lee Ji-yoon in Seoul. Before we get started, let's first get a quick check on today's highlights. We're seeing an explosive growth in the number of people using smartphones to do their banking and shopping, overtaking desktops as the most popular device for getting online. The Bank of Korea freezes its key interest rate for 9 straight months amid rising household debt and increasing capital outflows. We sit down with an expert to talk about this. Korea's central bank has held its key rate steady at 1.5%, continuing its wait-and-see approach as the economy faces increasing market volatility and a whole range of unknowns on the global front. Our Hwang Jae starts us off.
The Bank of Korea has put more weight on taming market volatility than tackling the fizzling economy as it decided to keep its key interest rate unchanged at a record low for the 9th straight month on Thursday. Citing an ease in plunging oil prices and improving economic data from the U.S. as upside potentials, the top central banker said that more monetary easing is unnecessary at the moment.
The current 1.5% key rate is accommodative enough. It's true that it could be more accommodative if we lower it further, but monetary policymakers all agree that it's already supportive.
Facing slumping exports and sluggish domestic demand, the central bank had been under mounting pressure to cut the interest rate to give a much-needed boost to the economy. But many economists, including the BOK governor, have been questioning whether a rate cut could actually reinvigorate the economy. This, especially as the central bank is already juggling so many other issues like the household debt load that stands at around $1 trillion.
When we see the household debt growth, the rate has not been contained in February, even if there was a macroprudential measures taking effect from the 1st of February. We think a rate cut at this time would do more side effects than benefits to the economy.
A rate cut could also exacerbate instability in local financial markets that saw almost $4 billion worth of foreign capital leaving Korea's bond market this year. Now, some analysts say that a rate cut could come as early as next month when the central bank releases its new growth outlook for the year. But others say that is unlikely as the BOK will want to leave more options on the table in light of a monetary policy board member reshuffle at the end of April. Hwang Jae, Business Daily.
And to tell us more about this, Professor Kim Seungwoo from Ewha Women's University joins us in the studio today. So good to see you, Professor.
Good afternoon.
All right, so the Bank of Korea held its key interest rate steady for the 9th straight month at a record low of 1.5%. What's the biggest reason behind this month's rate freeze?
Well, in the situation of fast changing global economy and slowly declining Korean economy, they decide to not to change their key interest rate. So that means they have taken wait-and-see policy until global economy settles down.
But then we've seen a lot of readjustments in other major economies like the U.S. and Japan and several other European countries. So how have such changes in those countries affected the Korean economy?
Well, actually, that different directions movements of the interest rate between major economies did not affect the Korean economy at all. Very interesting situation. So there has been a big concern about the Japanese yen's depreciation given Japanese negative interest rate. But actually, it turned out that Japanese yen has been appreciated against the Korean won.
All right, talking about negative policies, I know Japan and several other European countries have adopted and implemented the negative rate policy. Have these negative rate policies worked for their financial markets?
Not really, actually. We do not see any significant effects of the negative interest rate on these countries. The reason why they are decreasing interest rate is stimulating domestic consumption and domestic investment of these countries. But these are unmoved, actually. So that is very unusual situation.
All right. Well, now for people who are saying that Korea does need to cut the rate even farther, they believe that by doing so, it will help to boost low domestic consumption as well as help struggling exporters. Do you agree with that?
Well, I would say that if Bank of Korea wants to help the economy for stimulating by decreasing interest rate, there is one necessary condition, which is structural reform.
All right. Well, what kind of structural reforms are we talking about?
Well, there are quite a few companies that is not making enough profits for paying their debt and interest. And so these companies should be kind of reorganized and reconstructed. That means we have to take care of the zombie style companies in Korea.
All right, now shifting our focus a little bit, the European Central Bank is going to hold its monetary policy meeting on Thursday local time, as well as the Bank of Japan, which is going to hold its monetary policy meeting next week. What kind of changes can we expect out of these meetings?
Well, since they did not have any effects from negative interest rate, it is from the market, it is pretty expected that they will be going through even further expansionary monetary policy by cutting interest rate further.
Oh, it can go even further
Exactly.
down.
That's what they
wow.
are exactly saying too.
All right, well, coming up next week is also the U.S. Fed's FOMC meeting, in which here, of course, the attention is on whether or not the U.S. Fed is going to raise interest rates. And some are saying that the interest rate hike is probably going to come sometime in June. What's your outlook on this?
Well, at the beginning of this year, actually in January, there was increasing concern on U.S. economy. But as of now, very consensus on the status of the U.S. economy is very strong and solid. So there is very high possibility that U.S. Fed will be increasing their rate in the first half of this year.
Then what about Korea? Back here in Korea, although the central bank didn't raise its interest rate this month, they are saying that it's possible that we're going to see another rate cut sometime in second quarter of this year. Do you agree with that?
Well, Korean government, not the Bank of Korea, Korean government will be announcing the list of the zombie company or marginal companies sooner or later by the end of the March, actually. So that's going to be the start of the structural reform. So given that, the more pressure for cutting interest rate will be given to Bank of Korea. So in the first half of this year, it is kind of inevitable to cut the rate for Bank of Korea.
All right, so we'll definitely see an interest rate cut
Exactly.
sometime this year. All right, thank you so much for your insight today, Professor.
Thank you.
President Park Geun-hye promoted her job creation and economic revitalization initiatives during a visit to her political hometown of Daegu today. She kicked off the day with a visit to the Daegu branch of one of the country's 17 creative economy innovation centers. Now, the network of centers was completed last year, and the Daegu branch, which was the first to open, has been a model for the others. The president also dropped by the International Textile Fair, known as Preview, to showcase her initiatives to foster traditional textile manufacturers by helping them to modernize their operations in collaboration with the information and communications technology. She also said the sector has great potential as an example of the creative economy she is trying to build. Korea's diplomatic relations with China has been wavering in recent weeks, and one local research institute is urging the two countries to keep business separate from politics, pointing to their deepening trade interdependence. Using figures from 2014, Hyundai Research Institute on Thursday noted that China's reliance on Korea, as reflected in its Trade Complementarity Index, has been on the rise at 0.51 points on a scale of 0 to 1. While Korea's TC index to China was much higher at 0.91. The research institute said it projects the two countries will continue to see strengthened economic ties, noting that Korea's direct investment in China since establishing diplomatic relations was second only to the U.S. Foreign investment coming in from China last year took third place at 9.5% of the total. Taxes and social insurance fees are accounting for a bigger proportion of household spending as more Koreans face tighter budgets at home. According to a report by the National Pension Research Institute, household income rose by an average of 8.8% each year from 1990 to 2002, while spending grew at an annual 9%. But more than 2 decades later, those figures had dropped. From the years 2013 to 2015, home income climbed barely over 2% yearly, resulting in weaker spending growth at less than 1.5%. While the increase in spending may have dropped, non-living expenditures surged by over 7% annually from 1990 until last year due to a rise in taxes, national pension, and health insurance costs. How often do you use your smartphone? With Korea's mobile penetration rate at over 80% now, the rate at which people shop or bank online has reached a new high as well. And our Eunice Kim takes a look at this world at your fingertips.
On the streets, at the office, the quintessential smartphone is stuck to one's hand. From online searches and hobbies to making purchases, mobility has taken its place at the center of it all.
It's more convenient than a desktop. It's simpler. You can use it anywhere, anytime, in the bus or on the subway.
You can do your banking in the early morning hours when banks are closed. That's the biggest advantage.
While desktop-based online banking has remained stagnant since 2011, the ratio of people using their smartphones for banking has grown remarkably in Korea. Last year, an average of 78 million online banking transactions took place every day, and of these, 54.3% came from mobile devices. The number of mobile banking users reached 76 million as of the end of last year, registering a jump of 27% compared to a year earlier. This upward trend can also be seen in shopping. Statistics Korea aggregates the total sum spent on online shopping every month. And January saw the scale tip more to mobile purchases for the first time. Smartphone-wielding shoppers picked up $2.16 billion worth of products and services in January, bringing the proportion of mobile-originated shopping to 51.2%, doubling within some 2 years. Online shopping malls already exceed brick-and-mortar supermarkets in how much they sell. And now, with online-only banks in the pipeline, the era where almost everything can be done on one's phone is one step closer. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
Now, if the engine is considered the heart of diesel or gasoline-fueled cars, that of electric vehicles would be the battery. And with projections that electric cars will take up about 35% of global car sales by 2040, Korean firms are diving into this fast-growing market. Our Lee Joo-young tells us more.
They may not be all that easy to spot on the road yet, but experts say in the near future, people like Shin-ko, who commutes to work in an electric car, will become more commonplace. Shin says he appreciates the cost effectiveness, but there are still some downsides.
I use this car often, but it's a little inconvenient because there aren't enough charging facilities.
With these problems in mind, what the electric vehicle or EV industry strives for is the technology to go entirely green without having to depend on fossil fuels. And experts say the key to this lies in battery technology, since it powers the vehicles and defines performance. According to Japan-based market research firm B3, the market for global lithium-ion batteries, which are rechargeable, is projected to rise to $18.3 billion by 2020 from $5.5 billion last year. And while Japanese firms currently take up 60% of the electric car battery market, largely due to Panasonic, the supplier of major EV producer Tesla, 3 Korean manufacturers, LG Chem, Samsung SDI, and SK Innovation, are aggressively expanding their presence.
Local battery makers are increasing their sales volume by diversifying their clients and are rapidly increasing their market share with their technology.
LG Chem has secured contracts with all 3 U.S. car giants, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, as well as supplying 20 other automakers around the world. Samsung SDI has been catching up fast, sealing deals with high-end automakers like BMW and Audi, while pledging to invest over $2 billion by 2020. Latecomer SK Innovation has bagged a deal with Mercedes-Benz and has its eyes set on becoming the biggest battery maker in China by next year.
The battery is the key component that determines the mileage of a car, so the durability and reliability must be secured.
With competition in the battery industry heating up, experts say this current three-way battle may help Korea secure another strong growth engine, much like it did in the 1990s in the field of semiconductors. Lee Ju-young, Business Daily.
And that wraps it up for today, but we'll be back tomorrow with more business news that matters to you, so don't forget to tune in then. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.